Hello and welcome to Organic Price Books. This is another guest review with Taylor. Today I'm going to be doing an overview of the Absolute Swamp Thing by Wein, Bernie Wrightson. And we're going to talk about why this book is so beautiful and why you need it in your collection. So real quickly, I just wanted to show you the comparison of it looking up with the spines of the three Alan Moore Absolutes. Quick note, I've seen people post this image because they look so great together. I mean, look at them. The Alan Moore picture is a, what do you call that? Wraparound, connecting cover, thank you. Jeez, whew. Brain's a little fried today. It is a connecting cover. With the artwork, you can subtly tell, but it's nice and it looks there. You definitely tell the Wein and Bernie Wrightson one doesn't exactly match, but it does in font and aesthetics match enough that it looks like a beautiful collection together. But one quick note, I've seen people post this. Some people do have it where on the volume 1 it does say DC Vertigo. I have the reprint of volume 1. I specifically sold my Vertigo copy to get this one because I anticipated them matching like this, and I do become anal about those kinds of things. So they do match in aesthetics, in spine, and even how the books came out as well. Speaking of books coming out, they're falling out of the slipcase. Okay. So this is the Absolute Swamp Thing by Wein and Bernie Wrightson. This book collects every issue, a Swamp Thing that Wein and Bernie Wrightson touch of the original Swamp Thing run. And that's it. But the way this book is reproduced and printed and recolored is magnificent, and I hope that going forward, Marvel and DC take note of this and will replicate that and hire people like Jose Villarrubia, who was the guy recoloring, the gentleman recoloring this collection itself. I hope they do a similar job. So real quickly, the slipcase, these Absolute editions do come in a slipcase. They are oversized if you've never had one. This spine I'd already showed off to you. Looks like that. The back of it has a great image by Bernie Wrightson on it. The top's just plain black. The bottom has the barcode. We can see the cover price of $100. And that's the slipcase. The book underneath, it has this beautiful velvety texture. When you talk about Swamp Thing, you might describe it as mossy, leafy. It's a beautiful texture that perfectly matches the content, and that is the same texture and look and feel that they used with the Alan Moore editions. Just to pull out volume 3 here, same velvety texture. And on the back, it looks like that. That's volume 3 of the Alan Moore Swamp Thing reprints. Apologize for my cat making a cameo there. And then that's the image on the back with Swampy. And then on spine, you get this beautiful gold lettering that is shiny. You probably can't tell on camera there, with Swampy's eyes right there with the hand coming down. Now let's open this up, because this is a beautiful book. It does come with this little leaflet. I collect these. I just put them on the inside. There's bookmarks. It describes things. Although I guess you don't need a bookmark because, well, no, this one didn't come with a ribbon. So this is my bookmark. These are the end papers, and it's such a cool effect. One of the things that Chip Kidd does a lot in his books, he's a famous book designer, is he does these blown up panel images. He's kind of popularized that. This, though, kind of takes it to another level because this is like the original art blown up. And they even like purposely staggered it, so you can see like the top part where they wrote down what book it's for, what issue, and then you get to see the artwork. And then the back end papers, you get Batman. How cool is that? Batman does make an appearance in this book. So the first page here you get is some penciled artwork by Wrightson. And you get Absolute Swamp Thing with some credits. Like I said, Jose Villarrubia is the man behind the color restoration of this book. He is an instant follow on Facebook if you're fascinated by comic book reproduction. He goes through, compares what Marvel and DC have done for reproduction of comic books. He does what, sometimes he'll do the coloring himself and show you his example, or show you the original line art, or show you the original artwork, and go through the process of what this comes to be. He's also a comic book colorist. He's done a lot of coloring jobs for current modern day runs. But it's in his color restoration that I think his legacy will be stamped if people pay attention and start hiring him for gigs like this. And I can only imagine, I don't know for certain, but I can only imagine that it was kind of those posts of Jose Villarrubia talking about how this material was originally published in the trade paperbacks and in the omnibus format that got people to hire him, and appreciated what he had to say about the matter. You get a few forewords and introductions here. This one is from Lynn Wein, circa 1991. This is when this material was published in a trade paperback of sorts. And you get Christine, I don't want to butcher the name, Villada, from March 2022. And that is Lynn Wein's ex-wife, I believe. Or not, sorry, I said that wrong. His wife. Lynn Wein has since passed away. Christine was his wife at the time of his passing. And then Liz Wrightson writes a little introduction here. That's Bernie Wrightson's wife. And they do talk about in the forward or afterward that Bernie Wrightson and Lynn Wein were both born the same year and sadly both passed away the same year. So they have this kind of odd connection that way. So this is what makes this so great. The way this is recolored, or color, sorry, I don't want to say recolored. When I say recolored, people might have some slight PTSD from the Alan Moore Swamp Thing runs where those were totally recolored by Steve Oliff. These are restored color. So these are Jose Villarrubia trying to take the colors back to as close to the original colors that were on the printed page when these comics first hit the stands as he could possibly get. That was Jose's goal. And I think he achieved it tenfold. There were some liberties I think he took where he had read where Wrightson wanted something to be colored differently, but it wasn't printed that way, so he took that into account. For all intents and purposes, Jose Villarrubia's goal was to make this comic book reproduced on a larger scale in a way that would make Wrightson and Lynn Wein both super proud of the work and the way it looks in the end product. So this first image, this is Swamp Thing's first appearance in the House of Secrets, issue number 92. Just famously, the person that modeled this woman's image right here was Weezy Simonson, Walt Simonson's wife. Louise Simonson, famous editor, famous comic book writer. She had big runs writing for, anything from New Mutants to Superman. And this is the first image. So as you can tell on camera, the colors have a lighter tone, more akin to what was printed on the original page. When these comics were originally printed, they were printed on newsprint. So when the colorist, which in this play, and I don't want to butcher this name, so I'm going to read it. In this case, the original colorist was so Bernie Wrightson, Glynis Oliver, and then Tatiana Wood. When they originally colored them, they knew and took into account that these comics were going to be printed on newsprint paper, and that when you print color on a certain type of paper, the paper's going to take to it differently. It's going to soak it in differently. So then when you take that same exact color job and you try to print it on, instead of newsprint, that's like a matte, cheap, thin newsprint, and you try to print it on a high white gloss paper like was done with the omnibus, the colors are not going to look anywhere close to what they originally were supposed to. So this is on a semi-gloss paper, which some people did have an issue with. I spoke personally to Jose Villarrubia on his Facebook page and asked him about that choice. He said he didn't have a choice in the paper stock, but he was happy with the way it turned out. And that it's not high gloss, it's semi-gloss. And the colors he felt sat on it, were printed on it the way he wanted them to. He's very proud of the way it came out. He said that the matte paper was not a choice because of supply issues, which we've had paper issues the last couple of years and supplies. But regardless, if the artist is happy with the paper and the way it came out, and I know Jose Villarrubia is a bigger paper snob, bigger colorist snob than even I, then I can succumb to that example, that explanation. I guess I should probably tell you what this collects. Where's the issues here? Collects House of Secrets 92, and then Swamp Thing 1 through 13. So Bernie Wrightson did the art on the House of Secrets 92 issue, and then issues 1 through 10, I believe. Yeah. And then the art goes to Nestor Redondo for the last 3 issues, but Lynn Wein does write those, so they keep them in here. That's why I said that in the beginning when I said that they're either done by Wein or Wrightson. It's because Lynn Wein still does the last 3, even though Bernie Wrightson left the book. So, this run does take place before the Alan Moore Absolute editions. If you're new to comics, new to the character of Swamp Thing, it's important to note. This is the first run. This is the origin. This is where this character was created, was here. These are the first 14 issues where this character appeared. So if you have those Absolute editions, you want to find out the origin of Swamp Thing, find out where he came from before Alan Moore took him and flipped him on his head and did all these great things in writing, this high-end storytelling. You want to start here. Now, the stories themselves, I think, are great. I personally love Bronze Age, Silver Age comic books, even Golden Age comic books. And these have that feel. And that's a caveat that you have to include, unfortunately. But these are some of the best of that era. Some of the best of the Bronze Age. They are a little bit formulaic in the sense that it's kind of a Monster of the Month type feel. They're not as high-end storytelling as you get from the Alan Moore run. Alan Moore really develops this character and pulls him into a whole nother stratosphere of literature. But back then they were just making monster stories. This was just a horror comic. But for my money, someone that's read a lot of horror comics of this era, of the EC comics and all those, all those horror comics of this that existed when this comic came out, this, for my money, is some of the best you'll get. So the artwork is incredible. Bernie Wrightson is one of, if the best horror artists ever in comics. If somebody told me that he is the best, I would not argue with them at all. I would have to. I would just say, okay, he's definitely one of them. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. And you can just see it in his artwork. Lynn Wein, he's been writing comics forever. He created Lucius Fox. He wrote X-Men, Giant Size X-Men #1, the Uncanny X-Men. That kicked off the Claremont run. He edited Watchmen. He edited, I believe, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. So he has seen and done it all in comics. He created Wolverine, co-created Wolverine, co-created Swamp Thing, and so his writing stands on its own. Swamp Thing fighting a robot. Who the heck does not want to read that comic? I don't know. No friend of mine would say they don't want to read that comic. You get Batman, Bernie Wrightson drawing Batman, which had to have influenced guys like Kevin Nolan in the way that he drew Batman. Just the way that the spikes, being tall, and he's like this legendary gothic figure that he looks like he comes out of a monster movie himself. And then in the back here you get some awesome... Oh, well, I haven't got there yet. This is a page I know Jose said that was really important to him in recoloring, and he said he made the Baltimore stand out a little bit more because I believe that's where he's from, and I think where Bernie Wrightson was from, he said. So that page, I just remember that page being special to him in general. But back here you get some of the Nestor Redondo art, which, I mean, having to follow Bernie Wrightson is no easy task, and I feel like he kind of knocked it out of the park. He didn't pull any punches there and did a great job. And then here's some great historic documents. This is the house that Swamp Thing built. You get an interview here with, let me see, Michael Kaluta is in here, Louis Simonson, Alan Weiss. I'm sure Louis Simonson, yeah, she talks about being the model for that first cover. Yeah, so this looks like that's who this interview is with, is Mike Kaluta, Louis Simonson, and Alan Weiss. Then you get some images of her modeling for it, which is cool. You see that a lot with Alan Ross artwork. It's cool to see it with other ones. Here's some original artwork. I love how it's like formatted that way too, where it's kind of cropped but like pieced together like that. This is a really cool page in itself. You can see the pasted up title lettering there. Oh, that's whoa, what is this? Okay. Yeah, it looks like somebody cropped these images and pieced them together, because that has like the indicia of original issue with the artwork. I don't know what that is. It looks awesome though. I love the way this is laid out. You get some thumbnails. I don't want to flip through every page because I don't want to spoil it all. A glimpse at what might have been. This is Lin Wein scrapbook. So Lin Wein was an artist in his own right, and I love his style. He almost has like a Charles Adams of the Addams Family fame, Chaz Adams of the New Yorker style to him right there. And then here is a sculpture that I believe Bernie Wrightson did. Created by Bernie Wrightson's son, John. That was gifted to Lynn and Christine. And here's some images of Lin Wein and Bernie Wrightson. And then the biography is in the artwork. So it's a great book. It's worth having. It does not include everything that the omnibus includes. The omnibus includes, I think, 27 more issues, because it includes, or 26 maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it includes all the way to issue number 20, and then it has issues 1 through 19 of the Saga of Swamp Thing, which was done by different creators. But if you're just wanting like because Alan Moore really takes the character and totally changes him. If you want like a glimpse of what the origin was like before Alan Moore grabbed a hold of him, this is really all you need. I don't think they'll do the same restoration in an absolute edition of the rest of those issues. I just don't think it's a project. I think the point of this project was Lin Wein and Bernie Wrightson itself. And I'm happy to have it. I highly recommend this issue. It's going to make my top 10 of reprints from last year on my list. So thank you. This was Taylor. Order this from Organic Price Books. They'll package it with love and care. They have some of the best customer service in comics. Thank you for watching.